Hello, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if that's the case. In celebration of Father's Day, I'm doing a quick reading on healing the father wound, so hopefully this reading is of some use to you. So our first card, Mirror. Okay, so I get the sense that in many ways, the traits that you see most in your father or father figure are traits that are reflected in yourself. So either positive or negative traits, you're really just seeing who you are in this father or father figure. So like, for example, all the negative aspects that maybe you don't like about this person, I get the sense that they're aspects that you don't like in yourself, because of course we inherit so many traits from our parents, and then the sort of resentment towards ourselves and to our parents is so intermixed. So I think that there's sort of this idea of like loving these qualities and appreciating the mirror for what it is. Alright, then I've got Pen. So I get the sense that maybe your father or father figure has maybe influenced you creatively in some ways, like maybe taught you how to create, especially as like a kid, maybe encouraged sort of these creative qualities, like looking at your drawings and kind of encouraging you in that way. Or maybe at the same time they were like really focused on their work, so maybe they were not in your life so much because they were so focused on, you know, trying to build a body of work for themselves. So maybe they were a writer, or maybe just were like a workaholic sort of vibe. All right, then we've got the butter knife. So I get the sense that maybe this father or father figure was a little bit not as effective as he could have been in some ways. So like maybe in a case where you needed a steak knife to really like step in and protect you in some sort of key moment, like maybe instead he was just kind of like a butter knife and kind of got deflected in that way. So like maybe it wasn't quite what you expected out of, you know, what you wanted from a masculine figure in your life, like just not quite strong or sharp enough from what you wanted. So maybe in that sense, there's like a little bit of disappointment where you're like trying to cut a steak and it just wasn't cutting because just he was missing those qualities that you really wanted from him. All right, focus. So I get the sense that maybe thinking about the father wound is causing you to focus on certain qualities in your life that you want to improve, or maybe things that you just haven't been very aware of before, or maybe you've even been avoiding them, like not wanting to look at them. So I think the focus is really telling you to consider these qualities quite strongly. Even if it's not a topic that you really enjoy thinking about so much, it's definitely like very valuable to consider this. Alright, then I've got the cave. So I get the sense again, like kind of relating to the last thing that I talked about, is that maybe like thinking about these topics kind of make you feel like you're really like in a dark, depressive cave. So maybe it like takes you down to like a really low kind of depressive state. But at the same time, like the cave represents redemption in some ways, because you go into the cave and it's like this very dark, maybe like almost torturous, sort of like initiatory experience, but when you come out the other end, you're transformed and for the better. So even though there's like this scary, dark quality that makes you want to stay away, by actually going deep into it, you actually get all these healing benefits. Like it's almost like there's a wellspring inside the cave for you to drink this like refreshing, fresh water, but you really have to get over that sort of fear of the dark before you can reap those benefits. All right, map. So maybe consciously or subconsciously, your father or father figure has influenced you in how your life has been mapped out. So you're kind of taking the play-by-play of maybe what this person did and trying to apply it to your own life. And maybe there are things that are like not working out for you because either you're making the same mistakes that they did, or you're trying to live up to a standard that doesn't necessarily apply to you. Like just because that life worked for them doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right pathway for you. So I think that this card really relates to finding your own path and maybe not worrying so much about these ideas of like a legacy and like making your parents proud, but really just like forming your own path. And at the end of the day, like when you walk your own individual path, that's really the way that would make them the most proud, instead of just trying to like emulate or parrot the things that worked for them in their lives. All right, wig. So I get the sense that maybe this relates to like maybe romantic encounters that your father or father figure has had, and maybe in some ways they kind of let you down through that because they weren't quite as loyal as you would have wanted them to be. So it's kind of like this feeling of like you had maybe wanted them to be more steadfast to this other like parent in your life, but then they kind of were like attracted to like the wigs, the shiny sort of changing objects, and maybe that this sort of gave you the sense of betrayal in your life, that maybe like love is not real. Like if you've ever heard the Paramore song The Only Exception, that's kind of like the vibe that I'm getting from this, you know, like maybe you didn't have great models of romance sort of in those early stages of your life that maybe have contributed to this father wound. All right, incense. So I'm getting the sense that this is like something you really have to meditate on and come to peacefully. I think that if you're coming to this consideration of the father wound with a lot of energy and anxiety and sort of disrest in yourself, that it's going to be very difficult for you to sort of process or understand these emotions. It's necessary for you to get into this really calm, relaxed state of mind before you consider these things, and maybe like even make it almost sort of like a ritual or like a really calming process for yourself. So maybe like burn a little candle or some incense and like clear your desk off and get a sheet of paper and maybe try and work through some of these feelings in a really calm, relaxed, intentional way. And I think that you'll actually reap a lot of benefits from this, because maybe like the cloud of smoke, you have a lot of things kind of brewing and stirring in your mind. But by really like calming down and putting pen to paper to work out some of these things, you'll get so much clarity, and it's like the cloud of smoke will go away. All right, aliens. So maybe your father or father figure had a kind of interest in like the paranormal. Like maybe they kind of had this belief that like there's more out there than just what we see with our eyes. So maybe this kind of inspired you in some ways to sort of get more in touch with like not necessarily just believing everything you see, but also like thinking about like further layers to things, and just kind of like this wishful sort of like almost childlike wonder sort of belief in like that there's something more to the world. And maybe in some ways also there were some alien qualities to this father or father figure in your life that maybe were things that you actually didn't recognize in yourself, like certain desires or impulses that you just couldn't understand. They were so alien to you. But you have to understand that with so many more years of life experience, being born in a different era, and just being raised by different parents, that there are just some things you can't understand, and you'll never be able to understand about the thought processes and actions that this father or father figure has taken in their lives. All right, then we've got tea. So I think that this relates to sort of a communal ritual. So maybe like something that you did together and that was like a really special moment for you. And this could relate to like wanting to return back to that sort of like kind of peaceful shared moment, because, you know, you're drinking tea together. So maybe you were like sort of sitting at a table together and really having that sort of intimate one-on-one moment and just like being in peace and in silence together and appreciating each other's presence. And maybe that's not something you feel like you can do now, whether it's by choice or not, but maybe you're kind of like thinking about these moments from your past that you won't be able to return to. And I think that this card just kind of emphasizes like the value of those moments and to just appreciate them as they are, and that you don't necessarily have to have that again in your life to get the maximum value out of them. Okay, so maybe we'll do a couple more cards, just like thinking about like how to heal this wound, and maybe like things that might apply if like this person is no longer in your life. So Joker. Okay, this is interesting because I think it's really telling you to like lighten up a little, because like obviously this wound is like one of the deepest wounds for many people. So it's like a very heavy, difficult issue for a lot of people to talk about. But I think that this card is really emphasizing that you need to kind of be playful about it, because at the end of the day, it's something that literally everyone goes through. Like, it might seem like the worst thing in your life, but it's actually kind of just like a part of human existence, and it's something you need to just like learn to roll with. So the Fool's not always like laughing at things about being like funny, but it's kind of like this innocence and maybe seeing the humor in it. Like, if your father wound is like, there's some sort of incident or just like this force that just, it's so awful to you, but if you really think about it, in some ways it's kind of like funny, like almost the absurdity of it, and like not laughing at it, but just kind of like learning to sort of like laugh with it, laugh with the strange situations that life has put you and your family in. Although they may be unfortunate, there's kind of like a little bit of like, it's almost kind of ironic sometimes. Okay, let's do one more card. Okay, the final card we pulled is Candle. So I get the sense that maybe It's again like sort of a ritual or like a vigil. Like maybe you need to like sit down with a candle and sort of burn it in dedication to this father or father figure to sort of just maybe like get in touch with their spirit, even if you can't actually talk to them directly. That maybe there's like this sort of energy inside yourself that relates to this father or father figure or like the father wound in general, and you just need to like get in touch with it by kind of just burning a candle and being in silence and just like silent contemplation. Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed this reading for today. This was kind of like a short and sweet one, so thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.